Yes, my G's. Hope you guys are doing great. So today I thought we could do a bit of bass mixing together, and a bit of bass processing in a very, almost a bit lazy, but almost a bit fast and efficient kind of way, you know? So what I've set up here is a little beat with 3 different basses, all from my newest Serum preset pack, Dissonance. And we've got one that's called From the Depths first, and that sounds like this. And it's got a little modulation. I've tracked the tone, which is one of the macros, to change, and that basically it almost opens up the bass a bit more for the second time round. I've also put a macro movement on this second one here, just to put some variation in the sounds. This one is the jungle power sub, and here there's a harmonic macro. And on the second part here, I turn up the harmonic macro quite a lot, and it adds this kind of, like higher sort of, grittier part to the sine wave, you know. And this bottom one, I've left the macros off, and this one is just the patch as it is, the unsure futures, which is a really nice one as well. So I've put all 3 together like this. So we'll quickly play it with the beat. What I did is I just chopped up a break into 3 channels, so we can mix the kick and snare to the bass. So we've got kick on one channel, snare on another, and the hats on the rest, you know? So it's quite important to, if you're going to use a break like I have, to chop things up, just so you have control, so we can set our sidechain inputs properly from the kick and snare. So here's what it sounds like with the beat. And so what I want to do is I want to mix all of these basses in at the same time, because I'm lazy and I want things to be done nice and quickly, you know. So what I'm going to do, because I really like the arrangement already, I'm a big fan of bouncing things forward and just moving on. I'm actually going to bounce out all the basses together into one file. That's how renegade I am. And you can see now, we can see some things from the waveform as well. You can see how the volume changes quite a lot, you know, between the different sounds. So that one's kind of loud, that response part, you know, and then over here, this one like gets a bit sort of quieter. I think that's because the macro sort of opened it up a bit, and it may have like weakened the mono side of it a little bit, you know. But it's good to have some variation in the dynamics. But let's just process this bass as like on its own now. And I basically want to just do 3 or 4 things to it to enhance it, right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to use actually just a standard compressor, because as I mentioned, like the volumes are kind of all different, you know? So if I just use a normal compressor, and we can just get a little bit of compression going on. So we'll take the ratio, we'll leave the ratio on 2, the attack at 0. We'll take the threshold down a bit until we start to see some movement. Now you've got that like you've got some of the louder sounds are being compressed more than the quieter ones, you know. Let's do a little bit more. We'll turn the make up again as well, because we're taking the whole volume down quite a lot at this point. So let's see what that's done then. So let's just bounce that out, and we can have a look at the file now. And so if you compare them, you still have that sort of variation, but you will notice that it's a little bit flatter, it's a little bit more flat overall, you know. This part here is still a bit lower. But especially this part, the first part, seems a bit more balanced now. And this end part as well is more balanced. Like, it's not gone completely level, but that's not the point either, you know. We do want a bit of a dynamic difference between the sounds, but now it's just slightly more controlled. So we'll have that, because it looks like a good sort of waveform to me. Now what I want to do is I could think about EQing it, but I don't know if it necessarily needs any boosts anywhere. But we can have a little look. We can just see if we boost certain area in the bass file. Quite nice. We're going to be very subtle with this, so just 1.5 dB, but a really nice wide one. And the mid range is we're sort of targeting the mid range here, you know, 625 or so. Yeah, that just feels like it kind of works on all the different bass sounds together. So that kind of is gluing it all together a bit more as well, you know. So I really like that. So let's I'm just going to render things out a lot today. So we rendered that out as our new one that's been EQ'd, right? Now we'll just do like 2 more pieces of processing, and then we're done, you know. Well, the first part involves sidechaining the kick and the snare, so it's gonna have to be two plugins for the first round of processing. So like, it doesn't matter what way you do it, as long as you've got a multiband. You know, you could use the kilohertz multipass, or the Waves F6, or the track spacer, something like that, you know. I'm just going to go for the Waves F6 because I haven't used it for a while. I'm going to sidechain the kicks first, just a nice multi-band sidechain. And on the Waves F6, I love to do a low shelf because you can just make sure you get everything from 0 and then have it sort of come up nice and smoothly. So I'll show you what I mean. I'll take the threshold down, the range down, the attack down to 0, set the sidechain mode on, release about 100 or a bit less maybe. Okay, we'll turn the Q down so it'll get nice and smooth now. You hear that now? It's really taking out everything from 0, and it kind of comes up to sort of 150 or 250 hertz, and then it starts to smooth off, you know. So just play with the position and the amount of compression. That sounds nice to me now. So you've got the kick coming through really nice and sweet. Okay. In the past, I've done loads of videos where I use the LFO tool and I cut all the volume out. That's a way you can do it as well. Recently, I find myself much more leaning towards using sidechain compression in a multi-band sense and in a much more subtle way than I used to. I'm much more like subtle with sidechaining these days. I don't think that sidechaining needs to be like completely cutting everything out all the time, you know. It just depends what sound you're going for, but I like that where there's a bit of a blending. Actually, it's not kind of perfect. I like it a little bit imperfect still, so that's why I like the multi-bands, because they're a bit more subtle, you know. So we'll do the same for the snare next. So I'll just copy that over. We'll set the input from the snare channel, and this time we'll do like a bell, right? We won't cut all the low end. We'll just see where the snare is hitting. If we just load up a span or something, we can see it's actually really high up. It's sort of almost like a rim shot, you know. It's like 450. We probably don't need to sidechain it very much at all. But yeah, we'll do a bit anyway. So we'll track around just under 450. We'll turn the snare on, that'll help. Yeah, this time the release can be even tighter, and also turn the Q up a little bit as well. It does help to put the snare like slightly in front of the bass when it cuts through, so it is a nice little adjustment in my opinion. So that actually should sound really nice now. So if I take the side chains off, back on. Especially the kick, it feels like it cuts through a bit cleaner, and the low end, as a result, all feels a bit more powerful. And the snare has a little bit of push as well in the mix compared to the bass, which is makes it slightly snappier as well. It's quite subtle with the snare. With the kick, you definitely hear the difference a lot easier, or at least I do. Okay, so that's that done, and we'll just do one last thing to finish, and that is we're gonna now add some multi-band saturation. All right, so for this one, we can use the multi-pass. Any multi-band saturation will do, but this time we're just gonna exaggerate everything, sort of roughly around 1K or 1.5K, something like that, on the bass. We're just gonna exaggerate it all with some distortion drive. And I like this. I like using the kilohertz distortion because it's got a really nice spread, so you can actually add a bit of extra stereo width to the high end as well. So we'll just drive that up. Trying to find a good sweet spot, so around 1.5K. And then with the mix off and the on. So it does get quite a lot brighter in the high end, especially on that sort of louder kind of synth bass at the end. So we'll mix it in now, listening to the drums, and we'll mix in the amount of the effect here. So we could go around 50% or a little bit higher, and now it sounds even louder and crispier, the bass line as well, you know. And that's something that was like free extra, headroom. Basically, it doesn't really cost us any extra headroom. All right, so we've done quite a lot then. I mean, I can't go back now and show you what it was like before the EQing and the first round of compression I did, but just for the side chaining and the saturation, if all that was off, and if it was all on, much more upfront and in your face, more separation between the kicks and snares and the bass, and extra brightness push on the bass to bring it even closer to you, so really pops out of the speaker a lot easier when you hear it in a club. So really, really nice there. So that's just a little demonstration today on how you can do some nice and professional bass mixing and processing. Doesn't need to be fancy, just a couple of a couple of good sort of utility methods, to just increase the power and cleanliness of what you've got. All right, so apply this technique on your track, and 9 times out of 10 it will help to give you extra clarity, definition and power as well in your song. So thank you very much for watching, my G's. I'm always about the low end power on this channel. That's everything I do. It comes back to the low end power, like whatever it is, it all goes back to the low end power. Very important. All right, thank you for watching, my G's. May I remind you as well, if you guys want to learn any more cool tips and tricks from me, feel free to book in some production lessons. I've got loads more gems and knowledge to share that I don't always show on YouTube as well. So book a lesson with me if you want some extra secrets. And also I have mixing and mastering services available. You can email me if you want any of that work done on your latest track. I have a great Patreon community as well, with a fantastic Discord, loads of people chatting in there. They'll also give you free feedback on your tracks as well. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, my new Serum preset pack, Dissonance, is definitely one to grab for your preset bag. And if you haven't checked out my other presets on my website as well, there are some other Serum packs, loads of Vital packs, Phase Plant packs, and Current as well. All right, thank you very much for watching, my G's. That's it from me today. More from me very soon. Much love.